Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. I've never been to this part of the country before. Absolutely stunning. Thank you so much for inviting me into your home. I feel like this home is such a representation of you. Yeah, everything I've ever seen of you, at least on social media. I'm very excited for this conversation. So as you know, I obviously want to talk more about your journey, your health journey. And I also want to discuss the support elements of working through someone with a cancer diagnosis. So today I have two people to interview, but I'd love for each of you to introduce yourself, and then we will go in from there.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're glad you're here too. This is so fun. I'm Tia B. Stokes, and I am a mother of five beautiful kids. I have an awesome husband, and I'm just excited to be here. I'm a life thriver and cancer thriver and all the things. So, yeah.
And I'm Kelsie. I'm Tia's assistant and was the nanny during the cancer journey and just, friend.
Love it. I love it. And this is actually the first time I've had a format where not only can I interview someone that's gone through the hardship, but interviewing the best friend that plays a really important role in a cancer journey. I think one of the things I've learned in this journey of building support now is that cancer, while it certainly affects one individual from a health point of view, a cancer diagnosis, the impact it has is vast on a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
And so you obviously played a very important role in making sure that kind of the system and the foundation that Tia has built with her husband had some sense of routine. So I want to get into that. But before I do, Tia, for those that don't know your story, I'd love for you to share what happened. How did you find out? What were the symptoms that you felt? I think a lot of people are very curious about things like that. How did you know you had cancer?
Yes, totally.
But if you don't mind getting into that, I'd love that.
Yeah, no, the crazy thing is that, we had just made this huge move up to Orem, Utah County, from St. George, Utah. And my husband had a high school football coaching job up there at Timview High School. And so we thought we were going for football. But at that time in 2019, I just had my fifth baby, little Rose. And when towards the end of my pregnancy, it was really crazy because I got this cough. It started with a cough. And I remember even asking my doctor, I have this cough. It's not going away. What's going on? And we just thought, it's pregnancy. Your body is going through things. Well, after that, it was just one symptom after another. I had flu-like symptoms. I had loss of appetite. I had, loss of weight without trying. I couldn't breathe. I was short of breath all the time. I had random bruising, night sweats. I mean, it was just one thing after the other. And then finally, his defensive coordinator, Josh Arnold, happened to be a PA. We call him a doctor because he's a doctor to us. But his wife had him look into me more. She was just like, she is really sick. What is going on? And so he actually ran a CBC panel. And which is so crazy because I feel like it's so cheap. A CBC panel is so cheap, but it can literally save your life. It detects all the white, red cells. And so after that, it was April 24th. It's the world just shut down. It was 2020, right? A couple weeks before that, everybody's in lockdown, and he shows up at our house and tells us that I had acute myeloid leukemia. And our lives changed like that. I mean, he told us that I had an hour to get to the hospital, that the doctors had said that my blood smears looked so bad that they thought that I was already in a coma for how sick I looked on, through my blood. And they also said that they weren't sure, if I would make it through the weekend because of how sick I was. So that day, I mean, I've never seen my husband cry like that. And I think he was also just in denial. You don't think the person you love is going to be hit with something like cancer. And so I took one last family picture on my porch with my kids. And it's so crazy because this picture, when you look at it, my kids have no idea. Their eyes are just lit up. They think they're taking this family picture. And me and my husband are just shattered, So, so we take this picture, and then I say goodbye to my kids. My husband drives me to the hospital and drops me off like a package because he couldn't even go in because of the pandemic. So I went to fight for that first 31 days by myself. So,
I mean, a truly unimaginable situation on top of just being so young to get leukemia, to get cancer. And then you tackle on the COVID stuff, which was at that moment, I had a baby around that time. And I remember at that juncture, April 2020, the world was truly shut down.
yeah.
So you head into the hospital. What is going through your head?
Yeah. So, Andy, my husband, I've been blessed with just such an amazing husband. Like we're night and day, like complete opposites. Like like even the film crew that came today, I was like, go say hi. Like just walk out and be nice. He's like, well, that's why you like me. I'm different than you. But literally he's driving me to the hospital and I am, of course, a mess, and I'm crying, tears running down my face. And I look at my husband, I'm like, am I going to die? Like, this is it. Like, this is my life. Like, I just spent all these years, I have these kids, and this is me. This is my end, And my husband looks at me, doesn't hug me, doesn't kiss me, doesn't wipe my tears. It doesn't talk to me sweetly, and he looks at me, he says, Tia, you're a bad A mother trucker. You better pick yourself up, go in there and fight, and get back home. He's like, I'm not raising these kids by myself, so you better come back home.
Yeah, like I can't figure this out. So
he's like,
you're gonna need to figure it out.
Since it's like, yeah, if you're gone, I'm taking the kids to the mountains. We're gonna live off the land, But I mean, it was that moment for me that kind of gave me that support, right, and that power, because he could have just been like, oh, yeah, sorry, But it was those words. It was that tone of voice. It was that.
He was your strength. He was your strength.
That, I literally physically did it by myself, had to go through that alone. But the support behind the words and the support behind the strength and behind what he gave me that day to push forward. Still to today, like, I'm always like, I'm a bad A mother trucker. I got this, like things come my way. I'm like, oh no, I got this. Like, it just gives you that crazy muscle that we all need. Right? Like, because we're all it's not if, it's when we go through hard times.
Yeah.
It is. It's going to happen to all of us.
It's an inevitable part of life.
So it's that crazy muscle that just like kicks into gear, and just helps you to push through and to keep on going. So, that was like the base, the birth of that crazy muscle for me that helped me throughout the rest of, even till today.
So let me ask you, you talked about the support that he gave you in the words and the strength that he had in his tone and his disposition. That's what you needed. Now you're in the hospital. You're effectively, you're quarantined.
Yeah.
How do you begin to support yourself in that type of environment?
Yeah. The cool thing is that, I've been dancing since I was 10. I started dancing when I was 10. My sister Irene was my dance teacher, took me under her wing, taught me dance. And so I grew up dancing. And I remember my doctor coming in and he said, Tia, you have to get up every day. Like, part of cancer is movement. Like, and not a lot of people know this, but I try to share this a lot on social media, is that you have to continue moving every day. Like, if you don't move, the cancer cells literally just like get trapped with no oxygen and they feed. And so he said, you got to move every day. You got to do something. So I'm a dancer. TikTok just came out. So I was like, all right, I'll do a TikTok every day. I'll get up, learn a little, dance and get up there and do a dance. And honestly, that was like, for myself, like that was something that I could look forward to every day. I feel like cancer, you have to have something that that drives you to the next hour, if that makes sense. That drives you to the next minute. That was something also that me and my husband, he would call me and he'd be like, how are you doing today? And, I'd be struggling. He's like, okay, you just got to make it till the next 5 minutes. Like, okay, let's just focus on the next hour. Okay, let's just focus on the next 2. Like, it's not taking the whole journey, but just taking it 5 minutes, a minute at a time. And something that just to help me, for my own self to be able to say, okay, I just got to make it to the next hour. I got to make it to this little bit. And then it gave me, okay, I'm going to get up today. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to film a TikTok, even if that was all I did that day, you know?
So let me ask you, again, you exude this positivity, this great energy. You had the dance to like kind of look forward to or to push forward towards every day. And I have to imagine that there were still moments of doubt.
Oh yeah.
Of weakness.
Yeah.
Like, talk me through, like, were there anything else? Was there anything else that you did for yourself? Was it prayer? Was it talking to the kids? Like, how did you, again, especially in an environment where you were so isolated?
Yeah.
I'd imagine that there was a toolkit that you were trying to pull from.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just curious what those were.
I've got a toolkit. I got a tool bag. I've got a whole suitcase. No, for real though. But like, yeah, prayer, definitely. I mean, that's key number one. I mean, I truly believe, it was funny too, because, in this 31 days, I was able to, because I believe in God's plan. I believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that, obstacles and things we go through they're opportunities, actually. They're opportunities for us to be able to grow, to be strengthened, to be better, to become who we're meant to be, right? And that tool bag for me is prayer, is that total faith and just praying to, and not necessarily my prayers weren't like, heal me, but whatever you have for me. So not make me better, please. It was like, if this is what's supposed to be, then let me do what I'm supposed to do for you. Right? So that was key number one. Number two was the opportunities thing, being able to take this and look at it as an opportunity, because I also feel like when we look at it as an obstacle or as like a negative thing, it becomes a negative thing. Right? But when we change it and we take the focus on, this is an opportunity. Okay, what am I going to do with my opportunity today? Right? We start looking for ways that we can make it better, ways that we can succeed through it, ways that we can be able to grow through it, ways that are going to just implement the medicine in our body, right? So that was huge. And then three, my husband actually gave me a grateful journal when I was pregnant with Major, my first baby. I went through prenatal depression with him. And so I remember Andy coming in, he found me on the floor and he just said, Tia, like, we can do this, right? And he said, one of the tools that he gave me was a grateful journal. He said, he handed it to me and I looked at him like he was crazy. I'm like, this is not going to help me. Like, church, I need more than this. And he said, he challenged me. He's like, every day, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Just start the day off with like, okay, I'm grateful for my bed. I'm grateful that I have a house to sleep in. I'm grateful for the mess because I have things to make a mess with, And it totally, like, I am like 20 something grateful journals later in my life. And it has been the biggest tool that's helped me to be able to look at life so much differently and help me to be able to, when things do happen, I'm able to still find the things that I'm grateful for, which become medicine. Really, everything we take in, the energy we put out, the energy we are given is medicine and healing to whatever we're going through, right? So I feel like those things were huge. Of course, dance, that movement, right? And then also love, like loving words, speaking words of love. So even though I was only able to like physically be with like my nurses and doctors, I would always like try to compliment them, like say like, thank you so much, or just live in that state of gratitude towards them instead of being like mad that I have to take the medicine. Say thank you for the medicine, and compliment their socks. Or at that time they had to wear masks all the time. So I could barely see their faces, right? But just find some kind of way to spread that love to somebody. Like even if I was laying down, I couldn't move at all. Like I would try to speak some kind of words of love to be able to help them. And then ultimately it was helping me at the same time.
Did you ever have the why me moment?
I think at the very beginning, this was probably day 2. I'm sitting in this, because, day 1 I go in and because I was so sick, it was like, get a report in, but it was like just a whirlwind of things.
Right. It's all happening so fast.
Yeah.
You can't even like really
I couldn't even process. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like day 2, I remember sitting in my room, the room's dark and I'm getting messages from people and I'm feeling just like just, defeat, of course, tired, sick, like everything's just kind of going all over me and feeling like, what is happening right now? Like, what is my life? And I remember opening up Instagram and I'm receiving messages from strangers and people that are just like, Tia, I never wanted to pray before. I never wanted to have a relationship with God before. I never wanted to. I never felt like I had a purpose, And people were saying, I'm praying now for you. I want a relationship with God. Like, I want to go back to church, whatever church they were a part of. I want that in my life. And honestly, it was that moment that I was like, this is why. This is why. And I've never looked back since. Since day 2. Like, I've never looked back and been like, why me? Even through everything that happened after that. It's always been because I know it's that one person that needs my story to be able to help them find Christ and God again.
I think what you're saying is so powerful. I think especially with something as heavy as a cancer diagnosis, we immediately think of what others can do for you. Yeah. And what you're saying is that the first question to ask yourself is, what can you do for yourself? Yeah. Like, this is such a mental battle as much as it is physical. It's mind, body, and spirit in terms of how you approach it, how you wake up, how you choose to perceive your challenges, which I think is such a understated, undervalued part of what navigating tough times is. And you're such a pillar for that. You're such a light for that. I want to begin to transition the conversation towards the support kind of external. Yeah. So you're confined in this hospital. I guess the first question I have is, how did you tell Kelsie? Like, how did the word begin to spread? Were you very quiet about it? Just kind of talk me through how that all transpired.
So I believe in, there's power in numbers, right? There's power. And when it comes to prayer and faith, there's power in numbers. So because really, right? Like if you think about it, like if more of us are talking to you, there's power behind that. We're able to get our message out, right? So same thing with God. Like if he hears it a lot and he's hearing it, there's more chances that whatever his plan is, right? So the day I got diagnosed, actually, my family, I remember texting my best friend, Cambria, my niece, and texting her. She was the first one I texted. I'm like, I have acute, I couldn't even say the word. I was like, I don't even know what this is called, acute myeloid something. I think I even said it wrong, spelt it wrong. And instantly, my whole family, obviously they're all shocked because they're like, what, this is crazy. But instantly they were like, can we just start asking for people to pray? And I said, yes, please. Obviously we need this. And so it was my family that actually just started putting it out there, like, Tia needs prayers or that. And I'd already started social media. I started a couple years before. I had been dancing for people with cancer since I was 21 and I was 34 when I got my diagnosis. So all of those people, of course, all of my causes that I've danced throughout the years were just like, how does this happen? She was the strength for us. She was the one dancing for us. So all of those people came together, everybody just started reaching out in this web. And then Kelsie came into the picture. She had been following along, but my mom, the crazy thing is that my mom, that whole first month was like, Tia, who is going to help with your kids?
Yeah.
Obviously the big question.
You have 5 kids.
5 kids. And I had a 7-month-old baby. And my husband was still working. He had to work for us. We need insurance. Yeah. We need help. And he was coaching. He was head football coach of a big school. And so my mom was just so concerned about who was going to help with my kids. And at the time, there was no support now. I couldn't just put it out there. Yeah. I mean, this is huge because just think, if I would have had the access to support now, I could have went on and been like, I need help with my kids. I had no family around me. My family was 5 hours away. Nobody that I felt like I could call on that wanted to come and take care of 5 kids, right? That's a lot, right? And so I remember Kelsie, I had been talking to her. She just moved up north and my mom passes away a month after my diagnosis.
Oh my God.
Suddenly in her sleep. The day I was going home.
Oh my God.
the day I was going home, I talked to my mom the night before on Zoom. And the next morning I called her because I would call her every morning, like a mother, you know, she's going to be there with me. And I would tell her, you know, she would give me some kind of positive quote or scripture or something. She didn't answer. And so I just thought, okay, she'll call me back like she always does. And so I packed up my room, cleaned up my stuff, and my husband walks in to pick me up for the first time. And he tells me my mom passed away in her sleep. So, yeah. And I tell that part because she was so concerned about my kids. And so sorry. But yeah, and so she would tell me that whole month, she's like, Tia, I'm begging God to take me instead. I'm begging him because you need to be here for your kids. They need a mom. I'm ready to go back. I want to go back with Dad. And I would tell her, Mom, stop saying that. So when I got that news, I was just like, that little, she got her wish, you know? And so the crazy thing is that like a couple weeks later, I'm trying to still find somebody for my kids. And Kelsie pops into my mind. Like, we weren't really like besties or anything. It was just kind of an acquaintance relationship. And for some reason, her name, it was my mother, right? My mother was the one who was like, ask Kelsie.
Yeah.
So I did. I reached out to Kelsie, and believe it or not, she quit her job and she showed up at my house. I was in the hospital. She showed up at my house the next day, and I told my husband, I was like, there's this girl, Kelsie. She's coming. He's like, how do you know her? I'm like, Instagram, but I totally trust her. She's a good person. And yeah, she showed up at my house and she stepped in and helped with my kids. And she's been.
So your husband hadn't even met her.
No.
Yet.
No.
That's wild.
Because the times like we had met like probably 2 or 3 times before.
And
like,
I would go to like football games,
but it was like yeah,
coaching.
He was like busy. He never really like met her. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I knew of Andy. I knew of Tia. Like, they're from here in St. George. So like he was a teacher and things like that. But I didn't know them.
Yeah.
So, Kelsie, you just show up. I mean,
yeah,
you
showed up with a bag of snacks and I said, please, like,
and I told her, I was like, I just want my kids to have fun. I said, I don't care. Like, I'm not a structured person either. I'm not like, you know, but I told her, I said, this is such a, like, if we could have had support now, I know, but it's so fitting because it's like, I think about it and I'm like, man, like how crazy, because thank the Lord, like my mom and, you know, she was able to come into my life. But I told her, I was like, I just want them to have fun. Like, just make all the memories with my kids, do all the things. I don't want this to be like a depressing time for them.
Because you have a lot of kids and different age ranges. Like, how were they processing in the moment that mom was away with cancer?
I don't know.
Well, honestly, like, and I think back at that time, the kids were like that. Like she said, even with the picture, looking at the picture, they're so innocent with their smiles and just like they're kids.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really grasp it. Like, there were times where like some of the boys would like struggle emotionally, and I think that was really hard. And it was really hard for Tia to see too, because it's like what do you do when you're trying to fight for your life and your kids are like confused? But it was never a sense of like, I think we tried to do a good job of just having fun and being distracted, and you know what I mean? And I think also, to be honest, they were prepared because their mom had been dancing for kids with cancer.
Wow. So they were like almost conditioned.
Their whole life, they've been conditioned to serve, to love. They would do things before cancer to serve other people.
They had been in that environment before. So.
I think that they,
great
as
point.
a family, like they were prepared, because I honestly, like, I never had trouble with them, like, you know, very big. Because you hear when cancer and things like these kids, they're built different because they were trained differently. You know what I mean? By their parents. I think that was a huge, you know, they were prepared.
So, you were obviously here to play a really important role with the kids. That was Tia's priority.
Yes.
And their mom wasn't here to do a lot of the everyday things that a family needs to function. So kind of talk to me about like, what were some of your key functions other than, of course, making the kids happy and making sure they had fun times? Like, what were some of the things that you were helping out with?
I mean, just honestly, anything at the house that they needed, like food, making sure like the meals, or like making sure the kids eat, laundry, cleaning up, making sure the kids got to school. During COVID, it was tough at the beginning. I remember we did school like at home, like we did a little bit, virtual school. I mean, the kids were young at the time. I feel like all of them were at elementary still. But yeah, I don't know. I think just making sure those day-to-day things while Andy was working, that got done.
So I would also imagine at this time, while Tia's posting in the hospital, gaining more followers every day, there's also an abundance of support coming external. And so what were some of the gestures, some of the things that people were doing for her?
Well, we have videos of like Happy Meal. That was fun. We'd get like, there was times where like the whole front room was filled with boxes and packages and things. So when Tia would come home, we'd have packages to open, or, you know, things like that. Even her doctor stay at the hospital room, packages and DoorDash, and people would cooking meals, dropping off meals, GoFundMe, meal train. I mean, those things were going on throughout the whole journey. Yeah.
Well, and my house, when I got diagnosed, had black mold. And so,
of course,
black mold, and there was like a mice infestation in the house. So they said, obviously I can't go home until the house they wouldn't let me go home. So the whole community, I mean, everybody was at my house with my husband. My husband was working on it by himself. And then one by one, people were knocking on the door. What can I do? Let's do this. I mean, people were tearing down walls.
Wow.
They were donating their businesses to help, come in and redo basically the whole house. We had to get a whole new kitchen, bathroom, the downstairs. I mean, everything had to be like gutted. So that was the people, community. They just all came in and
truly just it took a village.
So
I envision I have young kids. I envision like the scene in Encanto, where like everyone's going to like rebuild.
No, it was exactly like that.
But especially like that because it was family coming. Yeah, it was also just like the whole community.
Yeah.
So for you, I mean, you probably saw a lot of great gestures. What were the things that for you were like, wow, that makes a big difference? Because I think so much of why people are afraid to support is they're afraid to do the wrong thing. And while I imagine you will say, well, there's nothing wrong you can do, but I've got to imagine on a scale of like most helpful to maybe not as helpful. What were the things that were the most helpful? And then what were the things that maybe not so much?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think like Venmo, DoorDash, those kind of things are like probably the most helpful. Just because it's like the income is like, because they can do with what the money that they need.
Right. So giving them flexibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the packages were awesome and fun, and like that was what the kids need, brought joy. But like definitely like for like financial or for food or for like, say they need to travel somewhere for like, and Tia is like this is like an example because I'm on her dance team Calamity, and we give money, like all the proceeds we dance like for, we give it to the family. But she always says, use the money for whatever you want.
It could be a trip. It could be
because you don't know what the family needs at the time, especially during COVID. Like that was just a hard, like you don't know what the kids need or what the kids, you know what I mean, mentally, physically, emotionally.
That's such a good point because at Support Now, we help people raise money as well. And you can turn things on or off. But I try to tell people, like, keep it on because you never know how that money can be used for. Maybe it's a trip to Disney. It doesn't have to be for your mortgage. It doesn't have to be for groceries. It can be for that getaway with just you and your husband because you just need that.
Oh, my gosh.
So I think that's an important reminder to supporters that kind of show up in a way that feels comfortable. I talk about all the time that humans are really capable of one of three things, often all three, and that's time, talent, and treasure. And it seems like for you all, you all got to see that on full display. You saw people donating their time to come in and help with the mold. You saw them donate in terms of money with treasure. And then you saw those talents come out where people are just kind of rising to the occasion based off of what feels right for them, which is such a beautiful illustration of what support really is all about.
Yeah.
So, Kelsie, I'm going to ask you this question first. What would you tell the supporter that's nervous? They're like, I don't know what to do, but I want to do something. What would you say to that person?
Well, it's funny because Tia actually today, her challenge to us, we have like a little group that works out. Her challenge was to just act. Just do. Don't think, just do. And I think with me, like when Tia asked me like to watch her 5 kids, like I loved Tia. I mean, we all love Tia. I've watched her and I admire her. And like, I knew at the time, I was just like, I want to help in whatever way. And so, yeah, I'm going to quit my job. Yeah, I'm just going to do it. Like, did I know her kids? No. Like, I met him maybe once or twice. Was I scared of her husband? Yeah. But, but I knew, like, my heart, like, I'd just do it. Like, just do. And I think people can hesitate. Like, oh, should I send the text or should I call or should I go and help? Do it. Like, because what's the worst? Like, you know what I mean? If anything, you're going to brighten their day just by seeing the face.
Yeah. I always say like intention over perfection. Like don't like scrutinize like the details of it. Like the intention shines in these situations. Because I think most people know that people are very well intended, even if it doesn't always land the way that you might think.
But the action is there.
Right. So how did you take care of yourself? Because you're playing this like pseudo mom role. You're watching after 5 kids. You also are kind of going through your own grief and trying to figure out this friend, this mentor. How did you support yourself? What were some of the things that you did to help maintain a positive attitude?
Well,
what did you do?
What's crazy is when she asked me, my engagement just broke off. So I was at my lowest of lows. Like I was ready to be done. Like I just didn't feel like I had any purpose to keep going. And then she asked me to watch her kids. And I knew that was like, at that time, I was like, that's my purpose. That's like, I have to keep going because these kids need me, you know? So I used that as my go, right? And then there was times where, there are 5 kids and it's hard and it's emotional. Tia would come on live at night, like on her YouTube live, and we'd watch, and I'm sitting there with her baby, and like a lot of the times she didn't look like she was going to make it. Like, but I think for myself, like that was where the fun bit had to come in. Like that's where I had to like reshift my thoughts and be like, you know what? Like, gotta like these kids, like I gotta have fun. I've gotta think, you know, she's all about thinking positive. She would always put a message out. So just like switching my mindset. Tia has a dance studio, and lucky for me, she said, Kelsie, I need you to teach at my dance studio.
Be a dancer first.
She literally said, Kelsie, you're going to be on Calamity. And I said, I've never danced before. I'm not doing that.
Well, I'm a basketball player. I'm like, well, you're going to learn. And you're going to have it.
But that was the biggest blessing, truly. Like, doing something for me. That was doing something for me. And it was hard.
I did that not to be bossy. I did it because I knew she needed that.
Yeah.
Like, it would help.
It separated out of nannying, out of doing those daily things that were like, because going full force mom mode, like, at 22, I don't know how old I was, but it was a lot. Like, overwhelming. It's heavy. And like like you drive every day to someone you can't even, like, that's fighting cancer, doing so sick all the time, you know? But Calamity was different because she said, Kelsie, 4 a.m., show up to practice. I'm like, I have no dance experience at all. But it was shifting. I was serving. We were dancing for Tia. I always watched Calamity perform, but it was just that different. Like, it became fun because I realized like it wasn't about me. And it was, you know, like you're using your body, because I have a body. I was healthy to use it for someone else.
Right.
So that's what I put now I'm a dancer. I teach dance now, all the things, but like, I think that was like one thing that I did. And of course, like praying, and I would just try to put all my effort into her and her family. Like honestly, at that time, like I just, anything I could do, like it helped me to feel like at least I was doing something, you know.
You got fulfillment in like serving her wishes. Yeah. But it sounds like you did ultimately find an outlet that allowed you.
Well, I found myself during that time, honestly. Like during that time of service, during that time, like I feel like now I'm so grateful because I know I'm going to be a good mom, like one day, like, and I know that I'll be prepared for like other things and other times to help people because of that opportunity.
Tia, next question for you. Perhaps we're almost wrapping up, but a lot of times people struggle with asking and receiving help. Was that ever a problem for you?
Yes. I can't say about that. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, especially for me, because I was the one always dancing for others and serving others.
Tia likes to give everything. She's Oprah. Literally, all my my shoes, my clothes, like
I just
anything.
love people
She likes
have, like,
to give.
to enjoy life too.
You get a car. You get a car.
Yeah.
And you get a car.
Yeah, yeah. I just love it. I love that.
Tia is the giver.
Yeah, it was really hard for me to accept help. Yes, yeah. But
that's interesting. I want to. So you have no problem giving. But the second that people are trying to give to you,
She says,
why do you think that? Why do you think that is?
because I think the first of it is I just don't want to put people out. Like I don't want to be a bother. And honestly, as cancer patients, especially, you feel that way. You don't want to be a bother. Like you already feel like everybody's lives have already changed enough. Like your husband, your kids, the people serving you, like the community, you know, like you already feel like you've already bothered enough with this illness. And even your nurses, I mean, literally cancer patients, you become a baby again. Like I literally just, I know I'm only 3 years old right now, but I feel like even coming out of the hospital, you have to relearn to take care of yourself. Like you have to relearn how to do they literally take care of you. And that was really hard. But for me, I remember talking to my best friend on the phone, and they wanted to make me the cause for my studio, for my dance company. That's crazy. I mean, imagine all these years I'm choosing families and dancing for all these families, and then they're like, we want to make you the cause. You know, they're trying to keep my studio and everything going while I'm in the hospital. And they said, it's only right that you're the cause. Like, you've been doing this for how long? And at first I was like, no, don't. Like, no, I don't want the attention on me like that. Like, I built this for other people to support them through what they're doing. There's other people that need it, even still while and they said, Tia, like, you have to remember, like, it's not about you, which I tell my dancers this, but it's not about you. It's about what other people are going to be able to gain through the service. Because when we give the people the opportunity, so if I say no to you for wanting to serve me, I'm stopping the blessings of what could happen for you, if that makes sense. The growth, the love, all the blessings that are going to come to you because of that service act, right? That kind gesture that you're going to do for me, I'm stopping that for you. So it was a huge learning moment for me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, like I done, like, okay, like I get it, So it became not about me, but about, again, right? I was able to be like, okay, you're right. Like we need that ability to serve and to support people for us to be able to enjoy the blessings.
I love that. I'm a big believer in that, because I think that humans by nature, we're tribal.
Yeah.
We're not designed to kind of go through life by ourselves.
Yes. No.
You date back in civilizations, like we do things in cohorts and large groups.
Yeah.
And what's still so interesting to me, though, is that when tough times occur, we all tend to say, oh, I don't want to be a burden. This is not for me.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like you have to be persuaded to remind people it's their blessing to do that. Don't take away their blessing.
Yeah. You're taking
because that's what we're put on this earth to do. We're put on this earth to serve not ourselves. We're put on this earth to serve others. And so I think that that's such a beautiful reminder for anyone that might be going through a tough time right now that has their guard up. You know, I believe that at the end of your life, you don't get a medal or a reward for saying, oh, I did this by myself.
Yeah.
Like this journey is meant to be community oriented, and it feels good because, you know, at any point in time, something could change. And look at your situation. I still cannot get over the fact that you were dancing for these causes for so long, and then it switched.
Yeah.
And it has to have been one of the most fulfilling things to now be able to truly empathize with these families in this new version, this new chapter of your life.
Well, and I told you that earlier, you know, is that like, I truly believe that, you know, yes, I was doing this for all of these people before, right? But it's almost like I had to go through it myself to feel what they feel, to know, like to truly be able to serve them. Because I still do it today. You know, I'm still dancing today for people. And I had to learn. Like I had to have that opportunity to learn and to be able to truly feel of their pain, feel of their sorrows, feel of what they need, feel of what, you know, what's so important. And yeah, I mean, I'm just so grateful that I get to be able to be where I am today and to continue helping those that are fighting or anybody that's going through hard times, because I get it. Like I understand.
And how are you feeling today?
I feel great. I am.
It seems like you feel great.
I'm thriving. And I live day to day. Like in all my posts, I say living for today.
Okay.
Because I truly am. Like that is my life motto. That was something that got us through the hospital, you know, the 5 minutes, the day, the hour. And even today, it's like I live literally for the moments. And I don't want to say these moments, the moments. Like this moment, this is what I'm living for right now. I'm giving you all of me. So every moment that I get, I'm giving you all of me, because I don't know if I'm going to have the next hour. I don't know if I'm going to have, and that's for anybody. My family, that's something like a motto that we live by, is that, you know, we're not promised tomorrow. We're only promised this moment right here. So I'm living, I'm speaking, I'm traveling, I'm teaching, I'm dancing for a cause with my studio.
So,
I am, I'm creating content. I'm all the things I love. I'm a mom of 5. I have a baseball game to go to at 1:30. Like, I love it all. And I'm just so grateful that I get to be here still to be able to enjoy it for however long I get. So.
All right. So we're going to do some rapid fire with you. You ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Love it.
Flowers or no flowers? Sorry.
Flowers.
Fill in the blank. Dancing is
amazing. Just one word, right? Okay.
This one won't be one word, but one piece of advice you'd give to someone who just got diagnosed with cancer.
Keep moving.
One word to describe your husband.
Oof.
Okay.
Oh man, loyal.
One word to describe Kelsie.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
And one word to describe yourself.
Loving.
Yes, you are. I want to thank you both so much. This has been beyond what I thought it would be. And you already represent yourself so well, so authentically on social media, but you really are the real deal. And it's so obvious to me why people gravitate to you, your energy, your story. I will continue to pray that you remain healthy and happy so that you can shine your light. And Kelsie, to you, again, I don't think that sometimes supporters, I call them like lieutenants, like they often get overlooked in journeys like this because so much attention is on the person who's battling, physically. But for you to step up the way that you did is such a beautiful example for others that are playing that role, whether it's cancer or something else. Y'all are really,
keep telling her, keep telling her.
I want to make sure she stays with your family forever and ever.
I know, me too. That's why we're always grinding. We're like,
It's really amazing. Like, this is what it's all about. This is what the human experience is all about. I always joke that as humans, we're really good at the happy things. We're really good at babies. We're really good at weddings. But for some reason, a lot of times we struggle in life's tough times. Y'all are such a beautiful example of what it looks like when you're struggling and still seeing the light and seeing the positivity.
Well, and the cool thing about it is that we don't get to take any of this stuff with us when we leave. We only get to take the relationships we make.
Yep.
That's it. So Support Now is such an awesome way to bring those relationships to people.
Thank you.
Really, though. I mean, strangers. And I feel like that through my journey is that's what I look at is like, I don't get to take my house, my car, nothing with me. So it doesn't really matter. Yes, it's fun to have. It's fun to enjoy. But like the relationships that have come through, the support.
Yep.
That's forever.
Everything.
It's forever. It is forever. Thank y'all so much.
Love you.
Thank you. Love y'all.
You're
Appreciate this.